Hey everyone, welcome back to my YouTube channel. My name's Meredith Phillips, and this is the final video for 2025. We're gonna do a hodgepodge video with all of the random stuff that I want to tell you or talk about, and it's not really enough for like its own separate video, so I'm just throwing everything into one video. There's also a Q&A segment at the end. So I hope you're ready for all that. If you would like to skip around, I'll definitely put timestamps in the description. There will be absolutely no transitions between one topic and the next, so just prepare yourself. So 2025, we are basically done with the year at this point. I'm filming this on the 13th. You're gonna see this hopefully on the 19th. I mean, like we're at the end. We're at the end of the year. It's been a pretty wild year. It's been a pretty wild year in a lot of ways. I failed my 2025 writing goals. So in case you're new around here, way at the beginning of the year, my big writing goal for the year was to get a new writing project to the beta reader stage. And I am so sad that I have to inform you that project is currently sitting at a first draft. I did finish a first draft, so that was great, but beta readers are still, you know, far in the distance for that. And so I very much failed that goal. I did have some other things going on though, so I feel like that's maybe forgivable. I got an agent. I got a literary agent, which was very exciting. And I thought that was gonna be like the pinnacle, the high point of the year. I in no way thought that I would be ending this year with a book deal. I got a book deal this year. I don't know if you remember that, but I got a book deal back in like mid-October. We announced at the end of October. That was, I still am not sure it's real. Like everyone keeps telling me it's real and I'm like, are you sure? What's the catch? Like where's the problem? Because this can't possibly be going as well as it's going. I'm a little suspicious. If something is too good to be true, it probably is. I am just like watching carefully, you know what I mean? So we'll see how that all pans out. Allegedly, the book is supposed to come out in spring of 2027. Again, just like highly suspicious, the entire endeavor. So, you know, be watching for that, I guess, in 2026, and we'll see how it pans out together. But I did want to give you, overall, 2025 has been a pretty good year, I feel like I've done the thing. What else is there to do? I was thinking about 2026 goals and I'm like, what is my goal gonna be? I've gotten like the goal of all goals. So anyway, I'll figure that out. It's been a really good year for the writing, certainly. I feel so incredibly lucky. I can't tell, like the number of things where it's like, if this hadn't have happened this way, or this hadn't have happened this way, or this hadn't happened this way, like none of this would be a thing. And so I feel really lucky. I feel really lucky. And especially like the publisher that I've ended up with so far. I mean, I've only been working with them for like 2 months, so who knows? But like so far, it's been like dream situation. I can't believe how quickly things are happening and how like on the ball people seem to be. I just signed the contract, the final like multi-page contract document on Wednesday, December 10th. So that was really exciting. It was fun reading through it. There was one part, I have to show you this, hold on. In the section where it's talking about what does audio work mean, like typically in nowadays we think of audio as in like audiobooks, right? So it was detailing out like if an audiobook is made of your book, like here's things to do with the audiobook, right? But audio work also can refer to cassette tapes or phonograph records. I love that that's included in there, and I really hope that one day I get to have a phonograph record of my book. I feel like you'd need like a stack of like 20 records to hold the whole book on it. Anyway, I just thought that was funny that was in there. But yeah, I got to sign the contract, so that was really exciting and way faster than I was expecting. So let me just talk about this because I have, you know, I've been here on AuthorTube myself for years. I've listened to authortubers who have come before me for years, and I had not heard this little tidbit about publishing until literally like a few weeks before my book deal, and I'm so glad I saw this because otherwise I would have been shocked. Okay, so when you get the book offer, the deal offer from an editor, they email and they're like, hey, we're offering you a book deal. And it's literally like a bullet point list of the main components of the deal. What's the advance? What kind of rights are we talking about? World rights, English rights, North American rights, whatever. What are the royalty rates going to be? Is this a one book deal, a multi-book deal? Like, it's the very basic stuff, right? And you negotiate on those things. And then once the final like bullet point list is in place, your agent emails everyone back and is basically like, yay, this looks awesome, we accept. And then that's it. Nobody signed anything. You're just like, da-da. And then from there, I've heard it can go so many different ways. So some people have said that they have pretty quickly gotten their edit letter. They've worked on edits like mine. Mine came through like really fast. And they've worked on the edits, they've finished the edits, handed in the edits. It's like going to copy edits, and they don't get the contract until like months after that initial little like email back and forth happened, which I think is so funny that that's the way this works. I feel like in any other industry, if they told you, hey, you're gonna start working on contracted work before you actually sign the contract, you'd be like, whoa, red flag, that sounds like a disaster waiting to happen. But that's just like how it is. Because there's so much, I know, like, you know, they send the initial draft of the contract to your agent. She goes through it and is doing all kinds of little things to make sure they're not trying to screw you over. That goes back. They have to go through it with their lawyers and contracty people and whatever they do. So there's a lot of like back and forth, and it just takes a long time, but they don't want to waste that time and have the writer just sitting around not doing anything. So they get you started on stuff, like assuming that the contracting stuff is going to work out. Anyway, it's just wild. So I've heard from multiple other people that they've sometimes waited like 3, 4, 5, 6 months or longer sometimes for that contract to come through and actually like be ready to sign. So the fact that mine only took 2 months that's fast. That's really fast. And especially since it's like, you know, we were getting to like the end of the year, and we know publishing tends to slow down in December and all that kind of stuff. I was like, oh, I was totally expecting when the deal was finalized, or, you know, finalized through emails in October, I was like, oh, I won't get any kind of contract stuff until like January at the earliest. Well, surprise, surprise, I got it in December and we signed. So that was really exciting. Yeah, that's the little update on the publishing front. I'm still on track to send my edits back to my editor, like probably the first week in January. It's due technically on the 9th. So I've got like the first week or so to work on things more, but I have it with a writer friend right now who's just reading through it to make sure it doesn't sound horrific. And if she has any like suggestions for how to tweak things, I'll be happy to do that. And yeah, so it's been just kind of relaxing. Honestly, I've been doing a little brainstorming. We'll get into that a little later in one of the questions that I got. It ties in with that, so we'll chat about that at that point. It's going pretty good. It's going pretty good. I mentioned 2026 goals, so let's chat about not what my goals are going to be, but about goals in general and moving the goalpost. I like goals. I'm a very goal-oriented person, and I am terrible at celebrating like the milestones on the way to the big goal. You know, typically you have some big end goal, right? And until I get that big end goal, like I don't really care about celebrating the in-between stuff. My problem, I think, is as soon as I hit a milestone goal, the goalpost for me immediately moves to like, well, what's the next thing? What's the next? Okay, good. I'm awesome. I hit this thing. All right, now what? Now what? What do I do next? I can't just like sit around and enjoy it. I don't know. So like over the summer, I signed with my agent. That's like a huge goal for so many writers who are obviously aiming for TridePub. It was a huge goal for me too, obviously. But as soon as I like signed the paperwork and it was like, I have an agent, and I sent out, you know, I did the vlogs and the video announcements that were very exciting. It was like, all right, that's checked off. And now what's the next goal? What's the next thing? Selling the book, right? Like that's the next thing. And I really didn't take a huge amount of time to like celebrate necessarily. Like, what am I gonna do? I don't know. To me, getting the agent was the reward. That was the celebration piece. I didn't need to do anything else. I was happy just having that. And then when I got the book deal, it was like, okay, that's like the I mean, after that, what do I do? What do I aim for next? I mean, obviously there's still a lot we're going through in terms of revisions, and there'll be all kinds of stuff I'm sure next year with like, I don't know, coordinating with whatever all goes into actually getting the book to the shelves of a bookstore. So now the goalpost has moved to like actually having it published. But then like what? Get another book deal? I don't know. I don't know what to do exactly at this point. I feel like, man, I'm really trying to pull back a little bit and just enjoy the fact that I have a book deal and revel in that for a little while, because it's so easy for me to just quickly move to, okay, what's the next thing? Like, this isn't good enough. Like, this is good enough. I don't need anything else, really. So I'm trying to just like celebrate it a little bit. And I will say I think one of the questions was actually about this, so we might talk about it right now. Oh, one of the questions was like, how did you celebrate the achievement of getting a book deal? And that is the celebration, that is the reward for me. So I didn't really feel the need to do anything crazy, but I did do something that you will hopefully get to see in January. I commissioned some character art. I've wanted to do this for so long, but it was it's unnecessary. Like you don't have to do this. You just don't have to do this at all. And I wanted to do it for a while because it looked so fun. I knew exactly what I wanted to. But after I got the book deal, I was like, that's my reward. I'm gonna get myself some commissioned character art. So that's coming soon. I'm really excited to share with you. We haven't done anything yet. I just like contacted the artist and she was like, I have a slot in early January for you. And so I was like, I'll take it. So anyway, I'll be in touch with her, I guess in a couple weeks to get stuff started. And then I'm planning to film like the whole thing, and I'll have a vlog or something for you where we do the little character art reveal. So I'm excited. I've never, like, to me, that's like an unnecessary expense. You know what I mean? Like, I don't need to do this. It's fun, but it's not like, it's frivolous. It's fun, but it's frivolous, and it's not a needed thing, but I really want to. So that's my reward for the book deal, is getting myself a little character art commission. The other topic I wanted to touch on, we're going to the next topic. Hodgepodge. Hodgepodge video. It doesn't go together. So the next topic is writers don't write in a vacuum. And this is something I feel like I wanted to talk about in the book deal announcement video, and I just didn't get to it. But I never want people to watch my videos and think I'm like, oh, she's done all of this by herself or something. I've done a lot of work, obviously, but this book was not written in a vacuum. I have had help from so many people all along the way who have bolstered me, encouraged me, pointed out things in my writing that I never would have seen by myself, and then I was able to fix it, right? I've had critique partners, I've had beta readers, I was in the mentorship program, so I had a mentor look over the entire thing and give me professional advice there. I have an agent who, of course, read the book and went through a round of revisions with me. I've had so many people have contributed to this in one way or another. Even like you guys who are watching my videos, having these videos has made me work faster, I think, than I would have if I was just sitting here at my desk by myself, because there's that light pressure of like, you must create content for the audience. And so I end up doing more than I maybe would have otherwise. And so I've progressed faster because I know you guys are watching. And so thank you for that. You're like my little accountability partners. So I feel like the resulting book is because of all of those other people feeding into my creative efforts. And if you're a writer who's been just kind of doing things on your own for a while, that's totally fine. I mean, that's definitely how I started. I was just sitting at a desk by myself, like, I don't know, characters and whatever. You can do that for a while. You can read craft books and things like that, watch stuff online that can help you kind of push along. But eventually you need more individualized input from people who are actually reading your work and giving you feedback on it, right? If you're in that position where you're feeling a little like, I feel like I've kind of maxed out what I can do by myself, it might be time to find a critique partner, beta reader, someone else to kind of fill in some of those gaps that you're not going to be able to do by yourself. There's the critique partner matchup. I'll link it below. That's still open. It's been open almost for 2 years now. There's about 100 people in there. So yeah, if you're interested, I'll link all the things for that below if you want to check that out. But yeah, I never again want to come across as like, I did all this all by myself. I did not. I would not be here if it weren't for all of those other people. If it wasn't for you guys watching the videos, like none of this would be happening without others. Okay, so let's go ahead and get into the Q&A portion of this video. I actually have a bunch of questions, which kind of surprised me because I feel like I've done like Q&As before and I don't tend to get that many questions. I got a lot this time, so let's settle in because there's a whole bunch here. So question number 1 is, what is one thing that surprised you about my agent or about working with my agent? I think the thing that surprised me the most, well, I don't know. This was kind of a fun question. I was like, ooh, I don't know. I think the thing that surprised me the most is how down to earth and like chill she is, which I so appreciate. I think a lot of times, especially like, I think when you look at agents, a lot of times you're like, ooh, they're like business professionals and they're like so fancy and like professional. And it's not that my agent isn't professional, but I feel like she's very chill, it's very casual, it's very friendly, and I really love that. That helps me relax. I feel like I can be a little more myself and not be like, yes, I'm here to be like a writer or something. I don't know. Yeah, so I feel like that helps my anxiety level just sort of like calm down. I do think there are agents out there who do have a little more of like a business kind of demeanor, which is not bad. You know, there's certainly nothing wrong with any of that. But I know that if I had gotten with an agent with that very like businessy professional kind of demeanor, I would have been a lot more anxious. I would have been like, oh, I don't want to email about anything. There's a lot of people who are like nervous to like email their agent, and I do sometimes get that way, just like, oh, I don't want to bother her. But I have emailed her because I feel like she's very open and like totally fine getting an email, you know, since I'm her client. Yeah, I really enjoy that about her. Yeah, I think that's been like the most happily surprising thing. Okay, question number 2 is going to be like, and I'm so sorry I don't have an answer for this, but it's all about taxes. You mentioned recently that you were probably going to go through an accountant for your author-related finances. I haven't done any of that yet. So I definitely need to, but I haven't really looked for anything yet. I need to do something. I don't know. I haven't gotten any money yet, so it's not like an issue yet, but it's gonna be soon, because I think with most contracts, I don't feel like I've ever heard of a contract where this is not the case, but typically the first advance payment you get is after you sign the contract. That's like the first thing. Sign the contract, you get your first advance payment. Now, like I said, I just signed it and their offices are like closed for the rest of the year. So I don't think I'm getting anything until January, which is totally fine. I'd kind of rather it be on like the 2026 tax year, you know what I mean? So yeah, I'm gonna have to figure that out sooner rather than later, but I don't have any answers as of yet. I'll let you know when I do. Question number 3. I'm really curious about your research process, as you always manage to find the most fascinating details, especially from historical sources. Do you have any tips, tricks, or methods you rely on? I'd also love to know how you decide where to draw the line between staying strictly accurate and taking small creative liberties for the sake of storytelling. These are great questions. I love the research phase and just like digging into stuff. It's really about asking questions and letting yourself go down the rabbit trails. So I do think there are definitely flaws with it, but Wikipedia is such a fun place to start because everything is just linked. You can click on all the links and all the articles, and soon you've got 25 different tabs open with all kinds of different subjects, and you start with one thing and you end up somewhere very different, and you just sort of like let yourself go down the things that look interesting. So that's one way I've stumbled across stuff. Then of course I do look up things elsewhere because again, Wikipedia, I think a lot of times Wikipedia is pretty solid in terms of the information that's on there, but occasionally it's maybe a little misleading with the way it's worded, or it's not quite complete with what it's trying to say. So you do need to like, you know, continue doing research beyond that, but it's a good starting place, I think. I also of course have my love affair with newspapers.com. I can't tell you the number of crazy things I found on there, just like clicking around. I'll start with one topic and I'll just start looking through the newspapers. And of course, like when you go on there, it'll, you know, if you look for the Royal Exhibition or something like that, it'll highlight it for you on a newspaper page with a ton of other stuff on it. And so then your eyes just sort of stray over like what's going on over here. And you'll see like they're advertising a house for lease, or they're selling some paintings, or they're selling cows, or there's other articles on the page. And so sometimes I've come across stuff because it just happened to be adjacent to the thing I was looking for initially. There's also like firsthand documents, like diaries, journals, like that kind of thing. I have that book over here. Where is it? This Journal of a Somerset Rector, which is just his journal. But I mean, the number of crazy things this guy was doing, which to us, I mean, it sounds crazy to us. For him, it was just like normal life. You know, when I picked this up, I didn't really know what I was gonna find, but I found so many interesting things. And sometimes, you know, he'll write about something where you're like, what does that mean? I don't understand, huh? And then you go look that up and try to research it more. I was just looking at another book last night, and he mentioned something where I was like, they did what now? Excuse me. And so then I went on a whole thing on all kinds of websites being like, what in the world was this? Oh my goodness. They were deviants. So yeah, it's really a lot of just like letting yourself have fun and look at the things that are interesting to you and seeing where that leads. I do think it's important, if you're looking online for information, is to make sure it's from a reliable source. Obviously, there's a ton of like Regency blogs from several years ago, a lot of them, and sometimes they have really good, not advice, but sometimes they have really good little factoids and stuff on them, or interesting articles, but then they don't link their sources. And I'm like, where are you getting this from? How can I trust you? So a lot of times if I find something interesting on one of those older blog posts, I'll then start looking elsewhere to see where can I confirm that this is true, because I have no idea. I have no idea where they've gotten that from. In terms of like creative liberties and how do I decide when to be accurate and when not, this is hard for me because I really like being as accurate as possible, but it's impossible in historical romance or historical fiction, I think, to be 100% accurate and still tell a good story. But there's also so many things, like there's so many things that you would never even think to question. For example, if you have a character, you know, sneaking around and he twists the doorknob and eases open the door. They didn't have doorknobs. They didn't have doorknobs in the Regency era. They had latches or like locks, but doorknobs weren't invented until like, I forget when, later, like decades later. Now, I happen to know that because I randomly came across it while doing other research, okay? And so if I'm reading a Regency romance and they have some character opening a doorknob or, you know, using a doorknob, like in the back of my head, I'm like, doorknob, they didn't have them. But it doesn't matter. Like, who cares? That's not going to ruin the rest of the story for me. If for some reason the story revolved around doorknobs, I would have expected the author to do research and then realize, oh wait, that can't happen in 1811 or whatever. But most of the time, the little stuff like that, I'm like, what, you know, whatever. That person did not happen to come across the article I did and then go further and research freaking doorknobs. Like, it's that kind of thing. Or there's stuff like, I also found out at some point along the way, most fireplaces at the time were coal burning fireplaces. They were not wood burning. Most people didn't have logs that they were throwing in the fire, okay? They had coal. And coal isn't quite as like romantic as wood burning somehow. Like, I want a wood burning fireplace in the living room or whatever. But again, like, that's such a random little thing. I don't care. If you have a wood burning fireplace, it's fine. Don't worry about it. Or things like dance cards. The ladies would wear dance cards. So at a dance, a gentleman would write his name and like claim a dance on the card. They didn't have those until the Victorian era, like several decades after the Regency. But every now and then you'll read a Regency set book where the ladies will have dance cards. It's fine. Have your little dance card. It's not a big deal. But I can definitely get stuck in, I want it to be accurate. And so like, but like on a stupid level where it's like, Meredith, no one else on the planet is gonna know this. So like in Rogue's Guide, my character is at one point my two main characters are going to a lecture given by a famous architect, John Soane. This is real. John Soane gave lectures at the Royal Academy. I, of course, needed to know the precise dates that he was giving the lectures. Were they on a regular basis? Was it like once a month? Did they just have them randomly whenever he was available? I found out. I went on newspapers.com, not sponsored, and if they wanted to sponsor me, I mean, I'm available, okay? But newspapers.com, they had announcements in the newspaper saying, hey, John Soane giving his lecture. Da, da, da. So I knew that the lectures were held on like Thursday nights or whatever. I won't remember off the top of my head, but they were every, Thursday night or whatever it was. And so then in my head, I was like, in the book, they have to go. I have to structure the story so that they go on a Thursday night. No one on the planet knows that John Soane was giving lectures on Thursday nights in 1810 or 1811 or whenever, okay? Like, nobody knows that. It doesn't matter. But then I get so stuck in like, but I really want it to line up so it's accurate. That's how I get into like looking up the moon phases. They're walking around at night outside. What's the moon phase gonna be? It has to be accurate. No one cares. Meredith, no one cares. Just do something that suits the story. So I sometimes have to pull myself back and be like, can you chill out and just let the story be the story and not worry about these inconsequential details that no one's gonna know? It's a challenge. It's a challenge. That said, there are things that I think if you get them wrong, it's really weird. And it just shows me that you did not care enough to do the research. And I'm like, why not just write a fantasy romance then? And just make something else up. So if your Regency set story, the characters are wearing hoop skirts, no, they're not. The women were not wearing hoop skirts at that time. They had the slim silhouette kind of thing going on. It's so wide, it's crazy wrong. If you have a story set in 1820 and Napoleon is still running around doing stuff, no, he's not. He's dead at that point. So like, you should do some basic research and get some of the real basic stuff correct. Otherwise, it's just gonna throw readers out if they know anything about the period. So anyway, that's a long rant. I'm so sorry. Okay, next question. Do you go to any writing group meetups, and what writer community do you have? So yes, I have some writer friends locally who I've been friends with them now since I moved here practically. I met them at 2019, the NaNoWriMo meetings for 2019. I went and they invited me to like join their little group afterwards. And so at this point, we really just kind of get together every so often. And we'll usually go out for like lunch or brunch or something like that together and just kind of catch up and see how everyone's doing with their writing projects. We'll sometimes bring our stuff with us and do some writing, while we're there. And it's really nice. They've been so encouraging and so supportive and really lovely, really lovely. And we all write very different things, from like adult horror to young adult superheroes. I'm writing romance. We've got fantasy writers. It's just a whole host of different people, but it's really nice. Okay, next question is, can you explain how a I can't even say it. Can you explain how a 2-book deal works? Do you have to pitch both of them to the editor with the submaterials, or is there some flexibility on what the second one can be? So mine, I feel like, was kind of weird. I feel like most of the time, if you get a 2-book, 3-book, whatever deal, it's usually like you have a trilogy and they're giving you a 3-book deal so you can write the trilogy, right? And so it's implied that the other 2 books or the other whatever number of books are going to be this, the next in that series. With mine, though, on the editor call, we did not talk at all about a second book. They didn't ask me if I had other projects I was working on, if I had ideas for side characters in this first book. Like, we just did not touch on any of that. And so when the deal offer came through, even my agent was like surprised that they were offering a 2-book deal, because we just hadn't talked about anything to do with that. So that was really exciting. And we still hadn't really talked about it up until about a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. I got an email from my editor with just some quick questions about some things. And she asked a quick question about like, what are you thinking for book 2, essentially? And I told her like literally one sentence. And she was like, okay, it's cool, sounds good. And like, that's been it so far. So I have not pitched a single dang thing, and I'm not sure how much I'm allowed to say necessarily. So I think I'm just gonna kind of keep it vague. But like, I've done nothing in terms of pitching anything. Okay, question 6 is asking for an animal update. The animals are doing quite well. Jade, is Jade. We've still got her little issues, but compared to like a year and a half ago, she's doing fantastic. She's generally like, if you follow the schedule, if you follow the rules, then we're all good. If things go off schedule, it gets a little crazy.
Do you want your dinner time?
But overall, she's doing really well. Nahan also is doing pretty good. He had some weird stomach issues like a month and a half ago. There was one day where he vomited like 4 times in the house. He diarrheaed in the house on the carpet. That was a fun day. Anyway, we took him to the vet, of course, and they couldn't find anything completely wrong. They were like, well, I don't know. There may be some like bacteria growth in there or something. So we had him on like some antibiotics for a while. He's good. We still have crazy little foster bunny girl. This rabbit is insane. She's very cute, but also she is crazy. She just escaped this morning from her pen. She can jump like a 3.5-foot tall fence. Anyway, she's up for adoption if anyone's in the Houston area and wants a crazy rabbit. I think she needs a bunny friend, and she also needs like way more space. Like, we've given her almost the entire dining room space we have. I can't put her anywhere else, and it's just not, she needs like the whole house to like run around. Anyway, but they're doing pretty well overall. Okay, next question. Which authortubers have you found to be the most inspiring on your writing journey? I'm gonna do 2 and then 2 more. So the first 2, I'm taking this like as inspiring in terms of like when I was first starting out writing, or I was just getting my feet wet with the whole writing process, figuring out what I was doing. I think the 2 channels that I found most helpful were Alexa Dunn. Come back, Alexa, we love you. But I also understand like it takes forever to make videos. So anyway, it's fine. Her channel's still great. If you have like questions, go look at her channel. It's a treasure trove. But she was super helpful when I was learning about publishing and what to expect, what to do, what not to do, like all the things. Her channel was fantastic. And then the other one that I just felt like I followed the journey, and it was so fun to see her like get an agent and then get the book deal, was Lindsay Puckett. I still love her channel. She's great. She has like the coziest of vibes, and she's just so sweet and enthusiastic about everything. And I just find her very encouraging and very inspiring, because like she did the thing. I watched her do the thing, and that was so fun. Currently, I feel like the channels where I watch the videos and then I'm like, yeah, okay, I want to go write. There's a lot of them. I feel bad, like, not naming like literally every single authortuber channel, because I do watch a lot of people. Although you guys gotta chill on the daily videos. Oh, my watch list is so long, and they're so good. I don't want to miss them, but I'm stressing out. And I had gotten like caught up with Alyssa's. I'd gotten caught up with Taylor's. And then I was like, okay, like nobody else posted. November's over. The daily vlogs are over. Then everyone was like, we're going to do Vlogmas. And I was like, oh no. So it's fine. They're awesome. Of course. I'm just stressed out because my watch list is too long. And then Alyssa posted that freaking hour-long video the other week. I was like, girl, I want to watch this so bad. But it's fine. Okay, so the people who inspire me, the people whose videos where I'm like, okay, yeah, like we're doing the thing and like we're on the same team and we're going, I think are Alyssa and Becca Tobar. I really enjoy their channels. I really enjoy the vulnerability and like the reality that they share in their videos. I think is really encouraging. because it makes you feel like, okay, I'm not alone in that thought or feeling. Yeah, they're really great. Okay, the next question this person asked was, were you ever worried that with traditional publishing, an editor or publisher might ask you to change too much of your story? And how much of a concern is it really for someone who's looking into traditional publishing? This is a great question. If you are on Threads, which I did delete off my phone, thank you so much. But if you're on Threads, there's a lot of people over there who have had negative experiences, and then they take that to mean that the whole industry is like a disaster. It has problems. No one's denying that TradPub has its issues, for sure, okay? But one experience does not mean that that applies to everybody. When you get the offer call from an editor, part of that call should include them telling you, hey, I loved your book. Here's the pieces I really enjoyed. Here's my, some of my editing suggestions. If I had gotten on the call with my editor and she had said, hey, I really love your book, but I'd really love for you to introduce a speculative element to the novel, or I really would love for the hero to be a shape-shifting werewolf, I would have said, no, I don't want to do those things. That's not what the book is. I don't want to do that. And so if they had been really insistent, ooh, no, we want to change it a little, with those elements, I would have turned it down. I would have turned the book deal down, because that isn't what the book is. That's not my vision. I don't want to write a speculative romance. I like reading them sometimes, but I don't want to write one. And so yeah, you should feel free to turn that down because that's not for you. And if you were to sign on with that editor, that's going to be a messy partnership because you're not going to want to do what they're suggesting. But I think most of the time, there are horror stories, there are negative experiences. I'm not saying that doesn't exist, but I think most of the time, the edits that writers are given are very much in line with what's already there in the book. The edits are meant to enhance what's there, clarify what's there, change things potentially for the better. And I know for me, as we were talking on the phone call, when she sent the edit letter, when we did a little bit of back and forth on one of the things, the edits were presented to me purely as suggestions. She would say here's what I think about this. What do you think? It was very much a conversation. It was very much a back and forth to determine okay, what do we both think is the best way to proceed here? And so I've not for one moment in this whole time thought oh, she's trying to make me change something. I don't want to change that, So I think it's a concern if you don't do your due diligence and ask before accepting a book deal. I don't know. I can't see that it's a prevailing issue where the vast majority of writers are having these crazy editors who are trying to make them change the whole tone of the book or something. I don't think that is as big an issue as it might seem if you're on platforms like Threads or other social media platforms where the naysayers and the complainers, and again, I'm not trying to say that they're unjustified in having that opinion if that's what happened to them, but I do think that's the minority rather than the majority. This question, I think I already answered the first part about how do I feel with the book deal, celebrating. If you could give one piece of advice for writers starting their publishing journeys or getting ready to query, what would it be? I think, one piece of advice, I have a video from last year giving you 10 pieces of advice, so I'll link that below if you want to check that out. The number one piece of advice I would give is do your research. Do your research. I see people all the time who are just making the most basic mistakes when it comes to querying or what they think TradPub is. And it's if you did a little bit of digging, you would figure out that this is not it. Or I just saw an editor who said someone emailed them directly trying to get them to look at their work, and it was that's not how this works. That's not how this works. Or people emailing literary agents directly, even though they've stated everywhere they're closed to queries right now. They'll be hey, but mine is actually really good, so you're gonna want to look at it. And the agents are no, I'm closed for a reason. That's not how this works. That's not how any of this works. So do your research. Number one, this will help you avoid really cringe mistakes. Number two, it will give you realistic expectations. If you go into the query trenches expecting you're going to get an agent, I think you're going to be really crushed. So do your research so you know what to expect. Okay, next question. How did you find suitable beta readers and critique partners for your books? Critique partners, I feel like I stumbled into them. One critique partner I had been friends with on Instagram forever, and we, like in the last couple years, have really just started chatting in DMs and stuff like that. And now she's one of my CPs, which is great. The other one was in a workshop, and she reached out to me. She was like, hey, your book sounds great. Like, would you want to swap pages? And we kind of went from there. Another one was in like a critique partner matchup on Susan Dennard's blog, Substack, whatever it is. She does it every so often, where it was just like she posted a thing and it was like, anyone who wants to leave a comment, and then other people can go through and see if they want to match up with anyone. And so I found her through that. So it was all these like random kind of things, but it all involved like, you know, putting yourself out there, trying new things, giving something a shot. And that's where those came about. Beta readers, I've been super lucky. I feel like I hadn't gotten beta readers up until 2024. Is that when I had beta readers the first time? 2023, whenever it was for the previous book, Twice Married. I was lucky where I had the YouTube channel to like a subscriber point where I just put out a call for beta readers, and I got a bunch of people who were interested. So, I mean, I don't know if that's super helpful if you don't have a social media presence, but if you do, utilize it. Okay, the final batch of questions comes from one person who submitted anonymously, and they sent in a bunch of questions. So, let's get into these. The first one here is, what's one piece of advice you'd give to someone writing their first historical novel? I think you should take a lot of time to do a lot of research. Read a bunch of books from a bunch of different people, from a bunch of different viewpoints. Don't assume you know what that period is like because you've read other books from that period. You know what I mean? There's all kinds of stuff, especially like in Regency romance. That genre and that time period has been written and romanticized a lot. And some things are accurate, but some things have been like invented or incorrect things have just continued to be used. And sometimes that's not a bad thing. It just sort of is what it is. Other times it kind of is a bad thing. So do your research. Spend time. I spent months and months and months reading books about the period before I even sat down to start like outlining anything. And all of that research was really helpful. So that's what I would say. The next question on here, I think I kind of already answered about balancing historical accuracy and keeping the story engaging. Sometimes you have to give up the historical accuracy. If it's a fact that has historical significance, you should probably try to keep it accurate. If it's something like doorknobs versus latches or dance cards, like that doesn't really, the whole like culture of the time doesn't hinge on those things, you know what I mean? Next question on here is, what's a research rabbit hole you fell into that surprised you? Honestly, the exhibition, the Royal Academy's exhibition. I saw something about that somewhere and I was like, oh, that kind of sounds cool. Like, let me see what that is. And then I have the whole subplot in this book is about the exhibition. And it was really fascinating. There was a lot of really cool stuff happening at the exhibition, and a lot of the research and little facts I know about it haven't made it into the book, but I'm glad I learned about it anyway because it was really interesting. What inspired you to start sharing your writing journey on YouTube? I was bullied into this, to be quite honest. Not really. That writing group, my little local writing group I was telling you about, there was one person who used to come more often who was really like gung-ho about social media. She was like, if you're gonna be a writer or you wanna like sell your books and everything, like be on social media. It's like free marketing, right? Which is true. You know, you can build up a platform and you've got an audience that you can market directly to, right? Through your social media platform. So she was like, choose a social media platform and like really get into it. And I don't remember why I picked YouTube, but I did, and here I am. So I started it thinking like, oh, I'll just try this and see how it goes. And I ended up really liking it. Next question is, what's one thing you've learned about yourself through making writing vlogs? What a good question. I kind of already mentioned this, but just sort of like that public accountability of you better sit down and do something. I need someone apparently hanging over my shoulder to make me sit down and do things. Not always, you know, but it's definitely gotten me a lot more done than I would have otherwise. Do you have a favorite video you've made so far and why? I think actually, I have a lot of videos I really enjoy. The 10 querying lessons video I think is really good. I spent a lot of time thinking through those different points. And I like how it turned out. I also really love like the sub vlog. That was really, or not the sub vlog is good, but the getting an agent vlog, that was really fun. I mean, I think anyone aiming for trad pub, that's like a video that you really hope you get to post one day, and I got to post it, so that was really good. What's your favorite comfort activity when writing feels overwhelming? I don't usually get overwhelmed with writing related stuff, I don't think. Or if I do, the solution to not being overwhelmed is to finish the writing thing that's overwhelming me. So I don't tend to like go do something else. I'm like, let me just finish this so I can be done. But if I need like a break or something like that, video games, I really do love Stardew Valley. Or just running around in Zelda, you know? What's one thing you've recently discovered, a book, a song, a recipe that you love? Okay. A recent book I read that I do not know how this only, it has like 250 reviews on Goodreads. I'm like, how is it not like 17 times that? It's The Dravenhurst Brides. This book was so freaking good. The prose, excellent. This was 5 stars for me across the board. The story was so creative. It's set in 1930s Kentucky on a bourbon, I was about to say a bourbon farm. A bourbon, like a distillery, but of course it was during Prohibition, so they couldn't do anything. Anyway, it has like speculative ghost elements to it. It's a romance. It has marriage of convenience. We love to see it. There's some trigger warnings for it involving like miscarriages and stuff, so if you don't want to read that. It was a little heavier in certain places than I was expecting. But really, 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 really good. It also had some representation in it that I've never seen before. The main heroine character suffers from an overactive vasovagal nerve, which I do too on occasion. And I was like, oh my gosh, look at her. She's fainting because of that stupid nerve at the back of her head. Been there. So anyway, that was fun. I was like, oh, this is just kind of cool to see that. So anyway, I would highly recommend that book. Highly recommend. Please read it and then go rate it for this author. I do not understand how that rating is like, and the rating itself is high, but the number of ratings is so low, and I'm just like mad about it. So yeah, I really loved that. A song that I really loved recently is that Sheila Key Giovanni song. I'll link it below. What's one milestone you're most excited about in the next year? I mean, I feel like I've got a lot. It's not publication year, but I'll get to do so many cool things. I'll get to go through copy edits. I'll get to presumably see some cover related stuff. I don't know if maybe toward the end of the year we'll be getting into like arcs. I don't know if I get physical arcs or if they'll just do digital arcs. I don't know. I mean, just like the whole process, getting to see the whole publication process firsthand. I am so excited for all of that. All the difficult things and all of the really exciting things. I want all of it. Give it to me, feed me. So yeah, I think all of those is what I'm looking forward to. And finally, do you see yourself writing in other genres someday or sticking with historical fiction? For the moment, definitely sticking with historical fiction. Never say never. You never know what might happen next. But overall, I really love Regency romance. I really love this time period. And I don't have any ideas for anything else. So definitely for the foreseeable future, it's Regency romance all the way. Okay, I think that is plenty enough video. My battery is literally on its last leg here. So first, before I sign off, thank you so much to everyone who has watched my videos this year. I've been excited for all of the exciting things that have happened this year. I'm really, really grateful for all of that. I hope you've had a good year too. Let me know the highlight of your year in the comments. If you watched all the way to the end of this, I would like you to leave me the winter emoji of your choice, because despite the fact that I'm wearing a sweater, it is in fact 75 degrees outside and I hate that. If you liked this incredibly long video, please give it a thumbs up. If you haven't already and you're still somehow at this point, wow, I love you so much. you can click the subscribe button and get more content from me in 2026. Thank you once again for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day, a great holiday season, and a happy new year. And I will see you in a couple weeks with some 2026 goals. See you then. Bye.